So you want to plant tomatoes, but you have no idea what to do. You're worried about making mistakes and you're short on time. Well, this video is for you. Today, I'm going to show you how I plant tomatoes. Welcome to Busy Bee Gardening. I'm a mom of two and a full-time teacher, and I love gardening. But sometimes it's hard to find time in my busy life. So today we're going to plant tomatoes. Tomatoes are one of the most popular things to grow. They can be a little finicky, but don't let that scare you. Okay, so today I am planting tomatoes. So the first thing you have to do is decide if you want to buy the plant or start with a seed. If you're going to start with a seed, you should start it a few weeks before your last frost date inside, just to get a head start on things. If it's May, like me, and you are just starting your garden now because life got away, don't feel bad. Just go to your local garden center and buy tomatoes. So this is what you're going to look for when you're purchasing your tomato. There are two types of tomato. There's determinate and indeterminate tomatoes. If you're going to grow in a small space or container, you want determinate. It only goes to a set height and has a set amount of tomatoes. If you're like me and you're growing where I don't really mind the taller tomatoes, I'm growing indeterminate tomatoes, which means they will keep growing taller and taller and taller all season long, but I also will get more tomatoes all season long. You can grow tomatoes in ground or in a garden bed. I have done both. So tomatoes need some sort of support. You can use traditional tomato cages, but I haven't found much luck with those. You can use wire and T-posts, which I've used both in the ground and in a garden bed. Over at Next Level Gardening, they use these to single stem tomatoes. So single stemming is when you prune it so that the tomatoes are just on one stem. You get about 80% of the tomatoes, but you get a lot more tomatoes than leaves. And because it takes so much less space, you can fit a lot more tomatoes in one area. I've tried both. I've tried letting them just go crazy, and I've tried single stemming them. And what I found the most luck with is actually a mix. Up on my hilltop, it's really windy. And when I single stem my tomatoes, I find the leaves curl and get really leathery. I've done a modification of the single stem. I let it grow as a single stem mostly, but I also let it get a little bushier than traditional single stemming just to protect the plant. So I do use Next Level Gardening's hooks, which are great, and I'll show you how I use that. But I also use this wire to kind of support the middle, and I let it get a little bit bushier. If you're in a protected place or somewhere where you don't have a ton of wind, then single stemming is great. If you're like me and have a lot of wind, especially on the hotter days, then I do this modification. So one more thing that we need to talk about when it comes to growing tomatoes is irrigation. You can water, hand watering. My first year gardening, that's exactly what I did. I actually find hand watering very therapeutic and calming. It also forced me to get outside to water the garden. That being said, if you have the resources to put in a drip system, this will really make a difference, especially with tomatoes. Tomatoes like to be watered consistently. Inconsistent watering causes those cracks in the tomato. Also, tomato leaves really hate getting wet. They're really prone to different diseases, and the drier the leaves, the healthier the plant. I put in drip irrigation with my tomatoes. It allows the leaves to stay dry and it waters consistently. So on our plant, you'll see these little hairs, and they will all actually turn to roots when you plant this. So what I'm going to do when I plant my tomatoes is I'm going to pull off a lot of the leaves pretty, just leaving the top for you, really. You need enough leaves for it to photosynthesize, but all of this I'm going to plant underground, which will make all of these little hairs turn into roots. Alden and I here are going to plant some tomatoes. Already spread some chicken manure, but you can use whatever you want to fertilize. And plant our tomatoes, I'm going to add a little bit of potting soil below each one. Okay, should we get started?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my tomato. I'm going to pinch off these lower leaves. It will let me. You can also use pruners for this. I just pinch them off. Now I'm going to plant it up to right about here so that the root system has a more solid start. Now my trick, if you are going to use string to single stem your tomatoes, plant it, put it in the hole first, and plant your tomato right on top of that string, and it will help anchor this down as the roots grow. So right there on top of that string. So there you have it. It took less than 5 minutes to plant a bed full of tomatoes for this year's garden. I hope this inspires you to start a garden, even if you think it's too late or you're too busy. And always, if you like this, please hit a like button and follow for more. Thanks. Bye.